Hi guys, welcome back to the channel and welcome to another video. So yeah, once again, it is that time of the month where I am going to go through everything that I've picked up in the previous month, that being June 2023. So yeah, let's not waste any more time, let's just get straight into it. So first up, we have a music Blu-ray, or a concert Blu-ray I should say, and we have Slipknot, Day of the Gusano, live in Mexico. So yeah, this is a live performance of one of their shows. I think it was from Knotfest in Mexico in 2015. And I know Slipknot's probably not everyone's cup of tea. I personally really like them. I think they're an awesome band, but I can certainly understand that they won't be for everyone. But yeah, I really enjoy my concert Blu-rays or DVDs. They're always great to watch on like a Friday or a Saturday night. Just get a few beers in. If you can't be at the concert, watching it on TV is the next best thing. So yeah, that is Slipknot, Day of the Gusano. Next up, we have a Jackie Chan movie, and as far as I'm aware, I don't think you can get sort of the original version of this movie here in the UK. I don't even think you can get it in its original form in the US, but let me know if I'm wrong about that. But we have Drunken Master 2, or as it's otherwise sometimes known as The Return of Drunken Master. And I had to get this on the Hong Kong Rescue Blu-ray label, which is kind of like an unofficial label. I don't even think they exist anymore, but what they used to do is they used to take different sources of previous home video versions of the movies and try and just give the best possible quality version that they can on Blu-ray. I thought I'd seen it all with Jackie Chan. I'm a massive fan, but this movie just totally blew me away. The stunts, the fight scenes, there's a lot of comedy in there. I think the last 45 minutes of this movie is just action from start to finish, and it's definitely jumped up there as one of my favourite Jackie Chan movies. The original Drunken Master is great, but this one's definitely topped it. So yeah, that is Drunken Master 2. Next up, we have a movie that I've heard so much about over the years, and I think it's considered to be one of the greats of Asian cinema, certainly modern Asian cinema, and we have Ip Man, starring Donnie Yen, and this is kind of the semi-autobiographical account of Ip Man, who was, I believe, the first grandmaster to teach the Wing Chun form of martial arts. I've got to admit, I really enjoyed the action and the fight scenes in this movie, but I didn't find the story massively engaging. And I know there's quite a few other movies in this franchise, but I'm not too sure if I'm going to proceed on and watch the rest of them. But maybe I just need to give it a rewatch. But let me know in the comments if you've seen this movie. Let me know if I'm missing something. But yeah, that is Ip Man. Next up, we have a pickup from CEX, and we have The Imitation Game. Yeah, this is based on the true story of Alan Turing, who him and his team were able to crack the Enigma code during World War II. Stars Benedict Cumberbatch and Keira Knightley. And yeah, I enjoyed this movie. I can't really knock it. I feel like it's one of those movies where you kind of know going into it that it's just destined to be good. It's just a very safe but very solid drama, historical drama, I should say. And yeah, I really can't knock it. It didn't blow me away, but yeah, I didn't think it was a bad movie either. It was very enjoyable. But yeah, that is The Imitation Game. Next up, we have Missing in Action, starring Chuck Norris. And yeah, this is a movie that I've always wanted to see, because I've always wanted to see what the fuss was about, because I'm not the biggest Chuck Norris fan. I've seen like the Delta Force and Code of Silence and a few others, but I've just never really been into him. But I think for a lot of people, this is considered to be his best movie. And yeah, I thought it was all right. Very similar to Rambo First Blood Part 2, even though it came out a year before that movie. But I was expecting a lot more of this movie to take place in Vietnam, but it's only really like the last half hour where the action kind of ramps up from there. But you know, it was all right. I'm still not the biggest fan of Chuck Norris. I think he's a very sort of B-movie type of actor, even though he does have this sort of cult-like status. But I've never really seen the big appeal with him. But yeah, the movie was all right. I didn't love it. I didn't hate it. But yeah, that is Missing in Action. Next up, we have a movie that I have seen before. I watched this for the first time last year, really enjoyed it, and I knew I'd want to get it at some point. And we have Rules of Engagement, starring Samuel L. Jackson and Tommy Lee Jones. And this is like a a sort of a courtroom drama type movie where Samuel L. Jackson is on trial for the sort of the unnecessary killing of civilians in the Middle East. And yeah, I think it's a really good movie, directed by William Friedkin, who did The Exorcist and The French Connection. And yeah, this is probably one of his better films that probably a lot of people don't really know. But yeah, I really enjoy it. And if you like your courtroom dramas, I would definitely recommend it. That is Rules of Engagement. I picked this next one up mainly for the sequel, but as it turned out, I didn't own the first movie anyway, and it was cheaper to get this double pack of the movies. And we have Young Guns 1 and 2. Yeah, I've seen the first one before. It's a really fun movie, kind of like a Brat Pack movie set in the West, but it's very gritty and very violent in places. I always forgot how violent it was. And the sequel is equally as good. I think both of them are just really solid movies. I don't really know which one I like better, but yeah, if you like your Western movies, very simple, very straightforward, definitely check them out. That is Young Guns 1 and 2. Next up, you'll see a bit of a theme with my next few titles, but a few weeks ago I was watching Batman Mask of the Phantasm, which is one of my all-time favourite Batman movies and probably the best Batman animated movie. But after I watched it, it got me thinking about all the other animated Batman movies there are out there and just how many there are that I haven't seen. So I ended up picking up this 5 movie collection of animated Batman movies. And in it, you get Batman Mystery of the Batwoman, Batman Bad Blood, Batman Under the Red Hood, Batman Gotham Knights, and Batman Year One. I had already seen the first one, Mystery of the Batwoman. I've got that one on DVD, but this is the only way to get it here on Blu-ray. You have to buy this 5 pack of movies. I've watched the rest of them with the exception of Bad Blood. And yeah, they were really, really good. I really enjoyed them. There's a lot of great animated Batman movies out there, and yeah, this was a great collection. So yeah, that is the 5 film collection of Batman. And then as well as that, I also picked up Batman The Long Halloween. This is the deluxe version, which includes both parts of the movie spliced together as one long movie. Very, very long. I think it's just under 3 hours. But I wanted to watch this because The Long Halloween is my personal favourite graphic novel of Batman. And yeah, I really enjoyed it. It's quite a lot different from the graphic novel, but the movie was still really good. Great animation, great voice acting, and yeah, it's just an awesome story. And like I said, the graphic novel is one of my favorites. But yeah, that is Batman The Long Halloween. Just one more Batman title now, and this is a movie that I had not seen for a very long time, and I decided to pick it up on 4K and give it a rewatch. So we have Batman Forever. Now, this movie came out at the right time for me. I was 5 or 6 years old when this came out, and I know a lot of people who really love this movie and have a lot of nostalgia for it. For me, it never gelled with me as a kid. I always gravitated more to the Tim Burton movies, and I always enjoyed this one, but never as much as those two. And on a rewatch, I still kind of feel the same. Granted, the 4K transfer on this is absolutely stunning, but I'm still not the biggest fan of this movie. I think Jim Carrey is probably the best thing about it, but everything else in this movie I just find a bit cringy. I think some of the dialogue is a bit cheesy and a bit silly, and I'm just not a big fan of the action scenes. I should have nostalgia for it, but like I said, I just gravitated more to those Tim Burton movies, but I'm still glad to have it in the collection, and on 4K it looks great. But yeah, that is Batman Forever. Right, so next up I've just got a few boutique titles to show you, and the first one we have is a BFI title, and it's a movie called The Appointment. Now, I came across this movie after seeing a clip of it on YouTube, and I think it's a really infamous car crash scene in the movie. And when I watched the clip, I thought, what the hell is this? This looks like the weirdest thing ever. The car crash scene is really over the top, and it goes on forever. It seems really weird. But when you watch it in the context of the movie, it makes sense. And wow, this movie blew me away. Really unknown, underrated horror movie from, I think it's 1981, stars Edward Woodward. And yeah, I can't even begin to really explain it. Just a very nightmarish, hellish sort of movie with this great atmosphere and feeling of dread throughout the movie. I highly recommend it if you're into your horror movies and your sort of your old school British horrors. It was fantastic. That is The Appointment. Next up, we have Devil in the Blue Dress, released by Indicator, and this is the limited edition version. I found this in CEX for a pretty good price, and yeah, I thought I'd get it. Really enjoyable noir movie from 1995, starring Denzel Washington. It's your typical noir story about this character who gets involved with this investigation of this woman who's gone missing, and yeah, as he gets deeper into it, he finds that he's a little bit in over his head. But yeah, really solid movie. I can't say much more than that. If you like your noir films, definitely check it out. That is Devil in the Blue Dress. Next up, we have one of the latest releases from Radiance Films, and we have The Hotspot. And again, this is another neo-noir film from the early 90s, directed by Dennis Hopper, and it stars Don Johnson, Virginia Madsen, and a very young Jennifer Connelly in there. And yet again, another really enjoyable noir film with a pretty good story. Don Johnson plays this guy who and he comes to this very small town. He plans to rob a bank, but whilst he's planning that, he gets sort of swept up amongst this web of other characters. He falls in love. There's like corruption, greed, all that kind of stuff going on, and some great cinematography in there, great music, and pretty solid direction from Dennis Hopper. So yeah, again, if you like your noir films, check out The Hotspot. Next up, we have another release from Radiance Films, and we have Red Sun. This is an early 70s German movie, and this is probably one of the strangest films I've ever seen, since I started watching movies. It's about this guy who meets this girl, and he goes back to her apartment, and he finds that she lives with a group of other girls. But what he doesn't know is that they have this pact where after 5 days they have to kill the men in their lives. And the movie's kind of about him and, will he find out about this before it's too late? It was okay, this movie. I think the concept sounded cooler, but the execution wasn't quite there for me. But yeah, check it out, give it a go if you're into sort of these early sort of 1970s foreign movies. It was definitely an interesting watch, but probably one I won't go back to anytime soon. But yeah, that is Red Sun. Next up, we have a Blu-ray that I actually picked up in Berlin when I was there earlier in June. But we have M, directed by Fritz Lang, and I believe this came out in 1931. And this is a movie I have seen before, but I always knew I wanted to pick it up on Blu-ray. It's a fantastic movie, very controversial when it came out. The plot is basically about this character played by Peter Lorre, he's killed all these children, and he finds himself being hunted down by the public. And before he knows it, he is then held on trial for the murders. And yeah, fantastic movie. Like I said, very controversial, but yeah, definitely check it out if you haven't seen it. That is M. Next up, we have a new release from Eureka, and we have Burning Paradise. And yeah, this is a really fun Hong Kong action movie about these characters who are taken captive by this army, and they're thrown into this pit in a temple, and they're basically just held captive there, and they have to find a way to escape. And yeah, this is just a really fun movie. Some very over-the-top violence in this film. It's got a very Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom kind of vibe to it as they're trying to escape from this pit that they're in. And yeah, it's just a lot of fun, and I had a good time with it. That is Burning Paradise. Next up, we have another release from Eureka, and again, another Hong Kong action movie, but this is probably more of a comedy film. But we have The Dead and the Deadly, starring Sammo Hung. And yeah, this was a really fun movie. I had a great time with it. It's about this character played by Wu Ma, who he plans to steal his family treasure by faking his own death, but in the process, he ends up getting murdered for real. And then his vengeful spirit basically comes back, and he goes to his friend, played by Sammo Hung, and enlists him to help him get revenge on the people that have killed him. And yeah, it's a very silly movie, but I had an absolute blast of it. And yeah, just very over-the-top Hong Kong comedy with some fun action scenes thrown in there. But yeah, that is The Dead and the Deadly. Next up, another release from Eureka, and we have Lady Reporter. Again, another Hong Kong action movie, and this one stars the wonderful Cynthia Rothrock, and I believe this was the only film, or at least the only Hong Kong movie, where she was the leading actress. I think every other movie she made in Hong Kong, she was always like it was always like a co-starring role, but here she gets top billing and she headlines this movie, and she is absolutely fantastic in this film. There's some amazing stunts, amazing fight scenes, and it's just a very breezy, fun, fast-paced movie. The story is not really all there, but who cares? It's just a lot of fun. There's some great action in this. If you like Hong Kong action movies, definitely check out Lady Reporter. Next up, we have another release from Eureka, and this is a bit of an older release, but it's one I've been wanting to get for a while, and it is the double pack of Last Hurrah of Chivalry and Hand of Death. These are two movies directed by John Woo, who would go on to direct the likes of Hard Boiled, The Killer, and then in Hollywood he would go on to direct Face Off, Broken Arrow, Mission Impossible 2, and all those great action movies. But yeah, these are two very early movies from him. They're more in the vein of like those 70s martial arts movies, so don't really expect the typical sort of John Woo movie here, but they're still a lot of fun, and Hand of Death in particular has a very, very early role from Jackie Chan, and yeah, they're just great movies, really fun martial arts action movies. Definitely not as good as John Woo's later films, but still very interesting to watch. But yeah, that is Last Hurrah of Chivalry and Hand of Death. And another release from Eureka, and this time we have Revenge. And this is a 1960s Japanese movie about these two characters who engage in this duel, and the duel basically started over a very petty argument. And after the duel is over and one of the characters dies and the other wins, it kind of snowballs from there for the other character, and the ramifications of it become very extreme. And yeah, this is a really, really enjoyable film. Has a non-linear narrative, and it can feel a bit all over the place, but still really enjoyable, and yeah, really interesting watch if you like your Japanese cinema. But yeah, that is Revenge. And just one more release from Eureka, I promise, and this is Samurai Reincarnation, directed by Kinji Fukasaku, who is probably best known for directing Battle Royale. And this was a really enjoyable Japanese samurai film with kind of like a horror movie tone to it. It's about this samurai warrior who is killed at the beginning of the movie, but he finds he's able to return from the dead, and he's able to enlist other spirits of the dead, and he brings back to life these other characters, and they basically just go on this quest for revenge. And we also have another character played by Sonny Chiba. He plays this warrior who is basically the only person who can stop them. And yeah, like I said, really enjoyable. Got a very sort of horror movie kind of tone to it. But yeah, really enjoyable movie. That is Samurai Reincarnation. Next up, we have a new release from Arrow Video, and we have the Game Trilogy. So yeah, again, another collection of movies from 1960s Japan. And the best way I could describe these movies is that they're kind of like the John Wick films, but just with less action and a much more seedier kind of tone, let's say. But nonetheless, I still really enjoyed them. If you like your early Japanese cinema, 1960s Japanese cinema, definitely check them out. They're a lot of fun. That is the Game Trilogy. Next up, we have Dragon Ball Super, Superhero. Yeah, this is the latest movie in the Dragon Ball franchise. It came out last year, I think, in the cinema. I never got a chance to see it, but I always knew I had to get it once it came out on Blu-ray. And yeah, I opted for the sort of special collector's edition version of the movie. The movie itself is a lot of fun. It felt like a very classic, old school kind of Dragon Ball adventure. It was great to see characters like Gohan and Piccolo get a lot more screen time, because I feel like lately they've been kind of sidelined as characters, but it was great to see them at the forefront of this movie. And yeah, I really enjoyed the movie. This is a nice Blu-ray collection, Blu-ray box set, I should say. But yeah, that is Dragon Ball Super, Superhero. Next up, we have the 4K limited edition version of Hard Target. I'm not going to talk too much about this one. I did do an unboxing, so if you want to check that out, I will leave a link in the description below. The film itself is great. It's one of my personal favourite Jean-Claude Van Damme movies, and again, directed by John Woo. The action scenes in this movie are awesome. But yeah, that is Hard Target. Next up, we have National Lampoon's Vacation, and again, this is another 4K limited edition box set version of the movie. Um, I absolutely love this film. One of my all-time favorite comedies from the 80s. I know a lot of people tend to veer more towards Christmas Vacation as their favorite in this series, but for me, it will always be this first movie. I just love the road trip, cross country sort of vibe to this film. I like that they go to different locations along the way. I think it just keeps the movie a bit more fresh. And yeah, it's just a very funny movie. Great jokes, great scenarios, and a really funny ending. And Chevy Chase is just awesome in the film. Yeah, if you haven't seen it, definitely check out National Lampoon's Vacation. Next up, we have The Lighthouse. Again, another 4K limited edition version of the movie. And again, I did an unboxing for this on my channel, so if you want to check it out, I'll leave a link in the description below. But yeah, the movie is awesome, very atmospheric, nightmarish kind of tone, great performances by Willem Dafoe and Robert Pattinson, and yeah, just a really awesome movie from Robert Eggers. But yeah, that is The Lighthouse. And then my last pickup for June is a box set that I know has been very popular over the last few weeks, certainly amongst the Blu-ray community, but it is the Arrow Video Empire of Screams box set. And this is a collection of 5 movies released in the late 80s, back in the VHS days, by a company called Empire Pictures. And we've got a collection of horror movies and sci-fi movies in here. But yeah, kind of like straight to video sort of movies. So yeah, I think you'll know what to expect if you were to pick this box set up. But my good friend Nige over at Rock God 2004 did a great unboxing of this set. So if you want to check that out, I'll leave a link in the description below. But yeah, that is the Arrow Video Empire of Screams box set. So there you go, guys. Those are my pickups for the month of June 2023. I really hope you've enjoyed the video. Let me know in the comments below if you've picked up any of these releases. Have you seen any of these movies? What do you think of them? I would love to hear your thoughts. But until then, I will leave the video there. So thanks again for watching and take care.